beautiful souls, welcome back to my channel. This is your health and your life with Selena. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just wanted to do my spiritual awakening journey, plus to get ready with me just so it's not boring. But yeah, let's get started. I feel like my journey started through a traumatic experience, and I feel like a lot of people who go through their awakening how it starts is through a traumatic experience, which is like kind of sad to me. But you know what, I'm honestly glad I went through it because it changed my outlook on life. It just changed everything. So yeah, kind of crazy. Anyway, so if you guys know, I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and every year here we had a country festival called Route 91. So Route 91 is a country festival that is held across the street from Mandalay Bay, and I think it used to be held across from Sahara, the Sahara Hotel, SLS. They keep changing the name. Anyway, so this all happened in the year of 2017, and this year is the first year I actually started listening to country music, because my family doesn't listen to country music. My friends don't really listen to it, except my one friend Lexi. And I just randomly started listening to it in like the summer of 2017, and then I found out there was going to be an event called Route 91, and it's a huge country festival, and I found out that was going to be held in September, October, because it's like September 29th, 30th, and then October 1st. This country festival is supposed to have like the greatest artists there. Like the only country person I really liked was like Jason Aldean. He was like the first country artist I kind of started listening to, and I heard he was going to be there, so I ended up requesting off 3 days at my work, and I knew I was going to go to this festival, but I didn't really know who I was going to go with because no one liked country music yet. Someone I had mutual friends with was on Facebook and posted that he needed cocktail servers and bartenders to work this event. So I commented like, yes, I want to work. That way I can make money and go to the concert festival for free. So I was like, this is perfect. We go to the trainings, and then this event is 3 days. So you have to work all 3 days, and then you get paid and you get your tips, which is like freaking awesome, right? So I'm excited to go to this thing. I'm off. Like, I didn't really know anybody else who was going to be there, country artist wise, and people who were working, so I was kind of like on my own, but I was like, hey, whatever, I know how to do this. The first day we went and we were able to like work, and then later we kind of went towards the front of the stage, got to see like big time country artists, but at the time I didn't really know who they were, and now I look back and I'm like, holy crap. Like Jake Owen, oh my god, amazing. Anyway, so we're watching them and everything's great. Concert ends. Next day we go back to work. So we go every day for 3 days to work, and it was like the easiest gig ever, right? And we're making money, having fun. And then the last day was Sunday, October 1st. Regular day, and Jason Aldean, he's like the biggest lineup for that weekend. So of course I wanted to see him because he was really the only artist I kind of knew at the time. And everything was fine that day. He came on at maybe like 9 p.m. and then he was almost towards the end of his concert, and he was singing When She Says Baby, and I still can't listen to that song. It's really weird. I was working with Bree. I had just met her at this festival, and she is the one who taught me about spirituality and all that stuff. But at the time we just met, I didn't know anything about her. Like, I knew she was spiritual, but I've never personally heard about anything spiritual. I never heard about what you use crystals for, or sage, or anything like that, you know? So it was all new to me. We're working in the same section, and I told Brie, like, hey, let's go towards the front of the stage later, because we were able to do it the nights before. And she's like, yeah, let's go. And I wanted to go during Jason Aldean, obviously, because he was my favorite artist or the only artist I really knew at the time. And we were working in like the VIP section. That's where we were working all weekend. And we're like, all right, let's go now. And then all of a sudden, this group of people were like, hey, actually, can we order some drinks? We're like, yeah, of course. they're like ordering drinks, and then we go and get them and come back. And as we're handing them the drink, all of a sudden you hear like probably like 5 really, really loud pops. It honestly sounded like fireworks. So me and Bree look at each other and we're like, are there supposed to be fireworks this weekend? Like, it was the last day, it's almost done, like it has to be fireworks. Not in my mind at all was any thought of a shooter, right? That was like not even anywhere in my mind. I was like, oh, it has to be fireworks, like it's a surprise firework thing, no one really knew about it. So we're like handing them the drinks, and then like there was a security guard right there, so we're like asking the security guard like, hey, is there supposed to be fireworks today? And he looks at us and he's like, not that I know of, right? But he was really calm, and it was so weird. And as it was happening, I don't know, I'm getting emotional, but as it was happening, Bree looked at me and she grabbed me by the hands and was like, let's go. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like it's just fireworks, like why are we running, right? So she grabs me and she's like, let's go. And I was like, okay. Like I was like in shock. I was just standing there, I wasn't doing anything because I was like, what am I supposed to do? And I seriously thank her for my life, because she's the one who grabbed me. Otherwise I would have just stood there and froze. And we just start running, because like where it was like the stage was up front, we were working right here, Mandalay Bay is over here, and all of a sudden we're like running towards north of where the event space was. And she grabbed me and we started running, and I honestly at the time did not see anything. Like I didn't see people getting shot, I didn't see blood, I didn't see any of that. I was focused on my phone, because I was like, wait, if this really is happening, the last person I would ever talk to is my sister. So I was like calling her and texting her, and all this happened was probably like 10:05, I believe. And so I kept calling her, but it wasn't going through. So like it's crazy, because she looks back at her phone, and it's like phone calls from like 10:05, 10:07, 10:08, 10:09. And it's like all missed calls for me, but it wasn't going through at the time. So I'm like trying to text her, looking at my phone while focusing on Bree, because she's running in front of me. And I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on? And I just see the fear in people's eyes, and I was like, dude, what is going on? Like, this is not happening, right? So and you just keep hearing the sound. Like I would never forget the sound. Like it's so freaking loud, and you're just like, what is going on? Is this fireworks? Is this like a shooter? Like, and once we started running, then I can smell the gunpowder, and it was really, really strong. So I was scared. Like I thought there was a shooter on the ground, like the event ground space, and was just honestly shooting people. And I was like, are we gonna run into somebody who's shooting us, or are we like, what do we do? I don't know. So Bree just keeps running, so I'm just following her and on like looking at my phone, trying to like call my sister and text her, just in case like I do like not make it that day. And I do not make it that day, and don't cry. And we just run towards the north exit. And it's crazy, because at first we tried to go towards like, there was an exit going to Las Vegas Boulevard where Mandalay Bay was, and then all of a sudden there was a cop there and was like, don't go this way, keep going up north. So we like go back up north, and all these people were running that direction. And then all of a sudden, like before we even get to like away from the event space, like we're kind of like trapped between like a wall and a gate, and that was the spot. And there were so many people, we were like a rat in a freaking maze. Like we were trapped there, and people were pushing and yelling and screaming and crying, and I was like, dude, what is going on? I can't believe this is going on right now, right? And at that moment I was like, dude, we're gonna die, because we're trapped. We're literally trapped. So eventually we finally get out of this little space. We're running between this little space, and we finally get out, and we run towards the Tropicana, and then we're running kind of where backup houses, so like where they have like deliveries and all this stuff. And someone like opens this delivery, like the gate kind of. So someone had lifted that up, and all of a sudden people are screaming and running back out of that. So we're like, hell no, we're not going in there. Like, there must be like another shooter or something. So we run towards like Hooters, which is another hotel right next to Tropicana. And we're like, okay, let's go that direction. And then people are running from over there. Like, it was just complete chaos. Like, we're like, dude, where are we supposed to go? And thank God for Brie, because her mind was like sharp. Like, let's go this way. Let's go this way. Like, kept running. And eventually we ended up hitting this wall. Like, it wasn't that tall. It was probably like my height. Like, I'm 5'3". And she's like, let's jump this wall. So I am not athletic by any means, if you can see. And I'm like jumping this wall like nothing. She jumps over. She's smaller than me, like shorter. And she jumps over this wall like nothing. Our adrenaline was just like pumping so bad that we're like, let's just go. So we jump over this wall, and it leads to like this apartment complex. And then there's a guy over there, and you can see me and Bree just look at him, and he's like, and come in this building. And she just for some reason didn't trust him, and we're like, no, we're not going in that building. Let's go to another apartment complex, which is like on the other side of that one. So we go to this different apartment complex, and it's a really nice apartment complex. And their garage had like gates, right? And someone had just driven through it, so the gate was up, and it was literally closing, and she runs under it, and then I follow her under it. And then there was another guy, random guy, and he ran under it too. So there was only 3 of us. It was like kind of weird because we couldn't trust people yet. Like, we didn't know where the shooting was coming from. So like we went into the hallway, and then that's where all the apartment homes are. So we're like knocking on people's doors. There's only 3 of us. And then all of a sudden we run into another couple that had happened to get into the apartment complex too. And he was shot. So he ended up getting shot in the lower back. And that's when I realized, like, holy, like, because that was the only evidence that I saw of someone being shot. And he had blood coming down his back. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and then I started to panic a little bit. Because when I was running, I was like kind of panicking, but not overly panicking until I actually saw something, right? We were knocking on people's apartments, and I remember we knocked on this one guy's apartment, and he's like, what's going on? Because everyone can hear this freaking shooting. Like, it was loud, like super loud. And he's like, what's going on? And we're like, there's a shooting. Can we go in your apartment? And he's like, no, and slams the door in our face. And I look back and I'm like, oh, that's so rude. But then I understand where he's coming from. Like, he's scared. He doesn't know who the hell's coming into his apartment. Like, what if we were the shooters, or, whatever. So he slams the door in our face, and we're like, all right, next apartment. So we're knocking, and we knock on this apartment, and he has like a cup sticker on his door. And Bree knocks, and his name is Matt. And he opened the door, and he let 5 of us into his, 5 of us into his apartment. And he literally saved us because we had nowhere else to go. So he lets us in his apartment, and he's like, dude, what the heck is going on? Like, I woke up because from his apartment, he can see the whole event, like, because it's on the 2nd floor, he can see the whole event space. And he's like, I just saw a freaking shooting coming from Mandalay Bay, which was on the 32nd floor. Like, I thought it was fireworks at first. So this person, not going to mention his name, is in the Mandalay Bay on the 32nd floor shooting down at 22,000 people. That's how many people were at this concert. And just shooting us, like, I don't know, just, it's crazy. So this guy is shooting at us from the 32nd floor, and he, screw that guy. That's all I can say. When I was next to Hooters at the time, I finally had gotten a hold of my sister, and she was living in San Francisco. She wasn't living in Vegas. And then my parents were in California also, at Disneyland. So no one knew what was going on. It wasn't on the news yet. Like, it had just happened, right? As I get a hold of her, she luckily answered, because she was like, she answered, she's like, hey, how are you? I'm studying for finals right now. Like, what do you need, right? And then I was like, there's a shooting. And she's like, what? And I was like, there's a shooting right now. Because she knew I was working the event, but she, like, didn't know much detail about it. So I was like, dude, there's a shooting. And she's like, what are you talking about? She didn't realize the extent of the actual shooting was. So As I'm on the phone with her, she's at like a Starbucks. She's like, what the F is going on? Like, where's my sister type thing? And she starts crying. And I'm like, we're running and we're getting, like, we got into this apartment space. And then she's like, okay, call me back when you're safe. So I finally call her back when we're in Matt's apartment. And I call her back, and then I kind of start crying because that was like the time I started crying or freaking out once I was like safe. At the same time, the couple that I was with, the wife is freaking out. The husband is laying on the ground, and we're trying to put pressure on his back because he had just gotten shot. And I feel so thankful because I didn't see the stuff that she saw. I didn't experience. I was close, but I was so freaking lucky because I was focusing on calling my sister and focusing on Bree that I didn't notice anything else around me. Whereas she said that she saw people being killed. And I was really lucky, you know. I didn't get hurt physically. My mental state was broken. But I was like one of the lucky ones. So as we're sitting in Matt's apartment, we're calling ambulance, and an ambulance ends up going to his apartment, and we end up walking the guy who got shot down to the ambulance. And we wanted to get as far away from the strip as possible, and they wouldn't let us. They said, no, we don't have room, just stay in the apartment. So we go back to the apartment till like 3 a.m 4 a.m, and it was crazy because now everything's on the news. So now people are like, we're still looking for the shooters, because they said there's multiple, which I thought there was, because that's what it felt like. But they said we found out there's only one. They said they're looking. The shooter's wife was Asian. Matt is so funny. Now we talk, and he's like, dude, I kind of got scared because you're like Asian, and they were looking for an Asian person, right? Anyway, so obviously it wasn't me. Eventually SWAT ended up finding the shooter, and he had killed himself in Mandalay Bay. Lexi was supposed to go. She's the one who likes country as well. She was supposed to go to this concert the last day, Sunday. A lot of people wanted to go Sunday because it was like the biggest day, but then she for some reason didn't end up going, and thank God she didn't, right? And so she's texting me, and she's like calling me. She's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at this apartment. And she's like, I'm gonna come get you. And I was like, no, you're not getting me. Like, do not come down the strip. Like, we don't know what the hell's going on. Like, just no, do not come down here. And her and her mom, like angels, freaking drive down to the strip and come get us. So like where we were, everything was taped off, and we had to walk towards like this gas station. That was the easiest spot for people to get picked up, and the spot that wasn't like crossed off at all. Me and Brie are like, all right, dude, we have to get home. Like, her dogs were alone at her house, and like we just had to leave. So we ended up, me and her were walking, and I was scared, but there was cops, SWAT team, paramedics, everyone was around there, you know. And we end up running towards that gas station, and Lexi picked us up and she took us home. And I'm so thankful for her too, like, to even be that brave to come, like, you don't know what the hell's going on, and brave to like come down and like get us. And that night, and all of our stuff, like my car keys, to my house keys, my wallet, everything was still on the event space because we had put all of our like stuff behind this wall while we were working. And luckily I had a fanny pack with my phone in it. So Bree didn't have her stuff either, so we had to like basically try to break into her house because her dogs are going crazy, right? And because she didn't have her keys either. And she ends up calling a locksmith, and the locksmith comes and opens her door for her. And at the time, my ex-boyfriend was home, so in my apartment, so I was able to get into my apartment. So after all that, like, I went through this huge like depression, and I've never gone through a depression before. I was always like really, really happy. Went through this huge depression. Luckily, I had my dog Kona. She was definitely my emotional support animal. I would cry and she would be right there with me. Like, she was the best thing in the world. And I would take her out every single day because I was like really depressed and I didn't really want to be home. But I also didn't want to be around people. So I would always be at the dog park, or we would go hiking together, just me and her. And she was amazing, and she supported me throughout all of this. And then I didn't really know how to cope with everything that was going on. So obviously I got in contact with Brie because we were together that night, and she was like, come to my house, let's go. I think we ended up going hiking or somewhere, and she gave me my first crystal. It was an onyx, a black onyx, which is grief, and I think it absorbs your negative energy and all that stuff. So it really helped me. She's the one who taught me about like meditation and incense, and we would go to like crystal stores because that's what helped me throughout everything. And I slowly began to be really spiritual, because before I wasn't really, like, I believed in a higher power, but I didn't really believe in, like, I didn't go to it. I never really prayed or anything like that because my family's not super spiritual. So Brie was the one who kind of introduced me to all that, and I feel like that was the only reason I was able to get through everything. And it took me like a year just to get back to normal. Like, after the event, I had to go back to work, which was on the Strip, and it was about 5 days after because they let me have time off, and I would have panic attacks. Like, I couldn't even get to work because I would have to drive past Mandalay Bay, and it was chaos. Like, in my mind, I couldn't handle being on the Strip. I couldn't handle passing by the Mandalay Bay every day. And during all that time, there was free therapy, but I didn't go to it because in my mind, I'm like, how the hell is this stranger going to help me cope through all this? They weren't there. They weren't at the shooting. They didn't experience what I experienced. And now I look back and I'm like, Selena, you're so dumb. Like, why didn't you go? And anyway, so like, I would have panic attacks at work. So like, but everyone knew I was there, so they definitely helped me. And like, if I was having a really hard time, they would like send me home early. And that, I had to go back to work. I couldn't just not work anymore. I had to go through understanding why I'm having panic attacks or like anything like that. So I felt like Brie definitely helped me get through all of that because she introduced me to a lot of stuff that help calm my panic attacks and help calm my anxieties. And I still have anxiety and panic attacks all the time, but now I know how to cope through it through like meditation and breathing exercises and all that stuff. So it's crazy because like, I never in my life thought I would ever go through something like that, but it changed me, and it changed my whole outlook on life, perspective of people, perspective of everything, perspective of people's spirituality, and understanding why they believe in it, you know? So I'm still learning about my spirituality. I'm still learning about what else is out there. And what really honestly also helped me become more spiritual was reading books. So Brie would like introduce me to these new books or send me audibles, and that's what helped me like kind of understand what was going on and how I was able to look at a higher power and ask for help and ask for like guidance, because all that really helped me get through all the trauma that I had went through, you know? I feel like everyone kind of goes through something traumatic to kind of get their awakening, and that's how I got my awakening, was going through that crazy experience. And I think about the people who passed and the families and what they're dealing with still, and I pray for them and I pray for their healing. And it's gonna be the 4th anniversary this year, which is insane to me. And I know people are still struggling through it. I am so thankful because I'm alive, I'm healthy, and I'm coping through my experiences. I want to spread my experience with others because spirituality and Brie and my pets saved my life that day. Let me put my eyelashes. I can't talk and put eyelashes on at the same time. So let me put this eyelash on and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I just did my hair and finished the rest of my makeup, but I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. And if you want to learn more about like the whole thing, you can go and literally Google it, and there will be articles and the FBI reports and everything that happened. I want to say I'm sorry to those who've passed, and I'm sorry to their families who are still dealing with all this and still dealing with the grief from this. But I pray that they were able to mourn peacefully and able to get through all of this trauma and craziness. And I pray that no one ever has to experience anything like that. Thank you guys. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day or night. Thank you. Bye.